Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new live stream. Today we're gonna refine one of the thumbnails that I did a while back for the daily thumbnail challenge. I challenged myself to do a quick thumbnail painting each day. You can see some of the videos are already up on my channel. I do it for 6 days a week, and once a week I upload the result of the challenge of the thumbnails that I did that week. The thumbnails are generally really rough, and that's kind of the way I want to keep them, because it's mainly for ID generation, and if you're generating an ID, you don't really want to focus on perfectly detailing and things like that. So yeah, it's still quite rough, this one, but hopefully we can make it nice, a lot nicer looking today. That's the goal, at least. I'm planning on streaming for about 1 or 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours. It probably ends up being an hour, at least an hour and a half. That's the goal for today, and not sure if I'm able to totally finish this painting in that amount of time, but gonna try to make it as finished as possible, and maybe I will do another live stream this week, later this week on Friday, probably, or Wednesday, I don't know, to continue with it. I really wanted to start producing finished paintings, because I've got a lot of sort of IDs generated, thumbnails generated, and sort of these rough half-finished paintings. But I want to do something with it. I want to be able to make finished products. So yeah, the goal is to finish this painting this week. I'm not sure how long that's gonna take, but I think at least 2 live streams, so 2 to 4 hours, definitely. I'm a bit rusty. No, not really rusty. I haven't painted today. I probably should have done my thumbnail first for today and then the live stream, because it allows you to sort of set yourself free. Just scribbling away is sort of find it a good way to free free your wrist, and so your thought process. You kind of have to build some confidence when you start the day. So that's what I'm sort of trying to do here, sort of get some stuff in, and in the meantime build that confidence so I can be confident with my brush strokes and my IDs. As you can see, this painting looks a lot like the one I did I think 2 weeks ago. I uploaded a video on that. I really was into these buildings. I still kind of am. These sort of stacked wooden structures. I really like it, or like them. This one is a little bit different. This one is in a sort of a forest, and I kind of like the idea that they sort of used trees to build their homes in, and we'll see how we can make this one look cool and look nice. But yeah, that's the goal. Make a nice looking painting. So for now we're just scribbling away, just sort of get in the flow a little bit. That's always sort of hard part, I think. Once you're in a certain mood, a certain flow, you're going, and then sort of you're unstoppable, so to speak. But sometimes it can take a while before you are sort of in that flow. So I paint some trees in the background. So we're gonna have some context hopefully. So this is meant to be a forest. I think this thing right here, this is way too thick. Thin it down. Basically, we have a big chunky tree thing type of thing with buildings here, and this one is quite big as well, quite thick, and this one as well. And so we want to bring some more flow or and perspective into that. So we're gonna thin this one down. So still keep it quite rough. So I'm gonna lower my opacity a bit so we can blend these together a little bit more. Get a tree here, and not every tree has those structures, of course. So we don't want them to be everywhere. We want to have normal trees as well. I like this background here. We probably want some indication of a canopy and leaves and things like that over here. But yeah, I think it's a good idea to work on that first, because if we start detailing all these buildings here and we want to bring in a background, it can be quite hard without ruining the stuff that we already painted, because we want to use a fairly large brush for this. We have a sort of a nice texture going on, and we don't want to can be quite sloppy. I wanted to say, want to worry too much about getting every brush stroke perfectly right here. Just add some texture to the background. This one is starting to get way too soft. Some here as well. And once we have sort of put that in, we can, I think we can mainly forget about the background as soon as it is sort of to a level that's acceptable. Maybe some more trees and probably some branches and things like that, because now it's just tree trunks, and there's probably some branches going left and right. Although I kind of want to keep the verticals, sort of the vertical vibe. So it gives the idea that these trees are actually really big. Trees. So we don't want to go in and make this all gnarly and stuff like that. This forest is just a lot of straight trees. Of course, you can do different trees, of course, but I'm not gonna do that for this painting. Nice and straight. Setting up for the sky. That's way too dark. Let's do the light. Sometimes it takes a while before right color. It's okay. Lower the opacity a little bit helps usually. And every now and then, if we really want to, we can sort of check our progress by turning a layer on and off. I'm painting on a separate layer. You could paint on the same layer. It's not really a big deal. When I paint it all on the same layer. I'm not using different layers for highlights or things like that. I'm just putting it all on one single layer. But I like to keep that layers separate from stuff from the sketch or the line drawing or whatever I already have, so I can sort of check my progress. And I don't know, it's just a thing. I think that once you get better and better, you sort of feel less inclined to do that, but I really like it because it helps with the sense of progression. So if you were to say like, I don't know, I'm not sure, you can always go into your layers and sort of turn your layer off and then turn it back on and think, you know what, I made some progress here. Shrink this window. Yeah, I think with the background, I think the background is coming together rather nicely. So that's a good way to sort of check your work, your current state. This is I never really do that work on the background first. I sort of tend to neglect the background and focus on the foreground stuff. And in the end, I come to the conclusion, ooh, I still have to do some work on the clouds. And sometimes it's quite difficult to do that because, as I said before, for this kind of work, we like to use a large brush, and that sort of interferes with the foreground. If we want to, for instance, do it like this, as you can see, the brush's strokes is going over the foreground elements, and at this stage that doesn't really matter because we haven't really worked on that. So, but in a later stage, if we have finished the detailing on the building, it can be really annoying to have to go back to that and fix that. Of course, it's always fixable, but can get really lazy about it and think, you know what, I won't do the background properly because I don't want to read it foreground. So that way you sort of end up with a background that is worse than you actually like. We probably can put in some stuff here as well. Not sure if I like this green of ugly color here as well. It's kind of all over this building. I think I'm gonna change that up. I kind of like the bluish tones from the background, so I probably want to keep those. Keep putting in some more trees because this is gonna be a lot, and maybe we can do some larger vegetation, some bushes. I don't know. Opacity is really low at this point, so helps blending different colors together. And we don't have to define everything perfectly. As long as there is a sort of a suggestion of detail in the background, it's actually quite okay. Probably want to do darker colors for this. Something about the leaves in the canopy here. I really like this middle part, really do. But I think this is sort of the most important part of the background. Because it's right next to this sort of dark building, so there's a big contrast between the two, so your eyes sort of automatically go back and forth between the two. So yeah, I think it's quite important that the detail is there. Yeah, I think we can get a bit more in terms of trees. We probably should do some on this side as well. These sort of are all the same size, at least these two and this one as well. These three, I use the same brush size for that, so as a result they're all the same thickness. We don't necessarily want that, so let's thin this one down a little bit. a little bit thinner, and that gives us room to sort of add more branches and trees in the background. Same goes for this one, though this one will probably get mostly hidden by all the detail that we're gonna add here in the foreground. But if you draw a forest, you don't want to sort of go in there with your brush and draw the same size trees. Seems really logical, of course, but sometimes you paint, and after a while you realize I did it all wrong. It happens to me quite a lot still, but that's why I'm learning. Hopefully, eventually we will we'll get better. Oh, we're definitely getting better. If I compare results of lately to sort of the things where we started with, some progress. Again, I'm sure about that. Probably. I'm gonna thin this one down a little. Gonna have leave up a little bit more space here. Can make this one thicker or get another one there. Probably want something in here as well. Probably want to lighten this up a little bit more. And so, yeah, it's basically about sort of watching and thinking, what can I improve? So at this stage, and as soon as we're sort of happy with the background, we're gonna work on the stuff. All the cool stuff, yeah, but yeah, on the design of the building, things like that. And that's actually quite a good method, I think, because working on the background is quite relaxing. It's not really that taxing on the brain, and it helps build confidence because you can be quite loose, and there's little ways to make mistakes. Can't really go wrong with this, so it helps build that confidence, and once you have that confidence, it's a lot easier to start working on the rest. So that's really cool. A really sort of a really good way to get into the flow of painting, and it's sort of, it also allows you to see which colors work together, which don't really sort of fit. I think I'm gonna leave it at this for this moment. I'm not sure what we're gonna end up having here in this area and this area over here. But I think I can imagine that we're gonna build up sort of this architecture here. Could build it all the way up to here, so to speak, and probably sort of stay the way it is. I think I want to have a lot of housing down here as well, so that this is sort of a city half built between the trees and half in the trees. So these trees are really huge. And we need to find a way to get that message across, but we can do that by adding some people in later. I think I want to push this thing a little bit further back, because now it's really in your face, so to speak. There's a really little, not much space between sort of this section here and the front of the canvas, so to speak. And we can do that by lowering the values, although I'm not sure how dark it is. I think I'm gonna add a layer to check the values. You can do that by adding a layer, making it black, and setting the layer settings to saturation. It will turn your entire image to black and white. It's a really handy tool to check the values of your painting. As you can see, this allows you to see, well, this is slightly darker than that one, so we probably have to lighten this one or darken this one a little bit. As you can see, there's quite some value differences between this foreground element here. So yeah, we probably have to do some work on the values. But that's a really neat tool to check your values. Just add a black layer, set the settings to saturation, and you can easily check your values. So now we're sort of now we've worked on the background a little bit. Let's start working on those buildings. I'm not sure if I really like this brush. I probably I don't really want to get rid of the layer. Let's try a different brush. This flat brush, usually I use it for landscaping. Sure if this is gonna work with the building here, but it could be, because it's a really nice brush for those roof types. I kind of want to stack them unevenly, so I don't want the left and the right to be in the same height. So for instance, this one has to go lower or higher. So let's make it a little bit lower. There can be, of course, some of them can be on the same height, but I also want to sort of vary the length and the height of the roofs and the length of them. So I don't really want this to look like a Christmas tree. So I don't want this to be sort of a triangle. I kind of want it to be more like a little bit more random. In the end, for instance, like this. Of course, you're still gonna end up that the top is still thinner than the bottom. But we don't want it to be perfectly triangle. And we can vary it up. We can say, for instance, let's say that this is another tree. We could say, you know what, there is buildings in the top of this one, but not and at the bottom. But there is a big section between where there are no structures, tree, or maybe little ones, for instance. So we can vary that up to get a little bit of variation. The design things, and we could, for instance, make this one a little bit shorter and this one a little bit further to the left, and maybe we can add some on top. And of course there are some in the background here as well, and I have to work on that as well. Some maybe on the tree as well. There's some architecture down here. Can be really really rough. Just indication of, this sort of style is common for this city or whatever it is. It's found across the entire forest. Not the entire forest, but across this part of the forest. Let's try to find the right color here. I'd like sometimes when I want something slightly darker or slightly lighter, or try to find it, I could go in here and sort of adjust it here, but I like to. This is if we were to pick this color and use it for here. You can see it's way too dark. But I could sort of pick it here and make it lighter, or I could pick it here and make it darker. But I kind of like to pick it here, put it down on the canvas, and pick it again, and sort of mix them together until I got the result that I'm happy with. And that way, sort of the colors, I think, tend to blend a little bit better together. Just it's partly it's laziness, because I need to move all the way across here, but probably this would be faster, but I don't know. I think they blend together a little bit better if you just put them on the canvas and mix them on the canvas. sort of more like a traditional mixing technique, most, because you're not gonna get the same color mixing as with traditional painting, but um, it's similar. I think it gives a and it gives a more traditional look to the painting, which I quite like. I like digital painting because it's nice and clean, and it is sort of a lot more flexible, I think, than traditional painting. But I still really like the look of traditional painting. I don't think I would be able to pull things like this off with in traditional painting. I haven't really painted that much traditionally, so I almost started immediately with digital. I draw a lot just with pencils and pens, usually a pen, because sort of when I'm watching something, I don't know, and it's not that I get bored, but I just really like to have a pencil or a pen in my hand and just draw stuff. When I was at school, I would always draw. The teachers, I would try to teach us nuts because they thought I wasn't listening, but it actually helped me to listen. So they would always go and ask me questions because they thought I wouldn't know the answer, but I almost always knew the answer. Then they were like, "Huh? But you were drawing all the time." Yeah, I was drawing, but I was listening at the same time. So yeah, just keep working on the roofs here and there, and probably gonna delete those light areas. I put them in the thumbnail sketch to indicate lights, but they're really big. They're way too big for actual light sources. So I think I'm gonna get rid of most of them, and I'm just gonna put new ones in later on, later down the line. So um, maybe we can vary things up. Maybe we can I don't know. Maybe there's a little sort of mini tower on top of this as well. I'm not sure if this is gonna work, but we could do that. We have a sort of a and we also need to worry a little bit more about perspective, because at this point it looks a little bit too two-dimensional. So we want to change that up. Not sure if this is really gonna work. I think we're gonna get rid of that. That's the other way around. Now I have to put the background back in. But maybe we can keep it. No, I don't. I don't think. I think I want to get rid of it eventually. So let's get rid of it now. So yeah, I want to work on the middle section here as well. I think I'm gonna get rid of this entire serve thingy over here because it's sort of it's too much in your face. And I kind of want to change the colors slightly as well. Yeah, this is a nice blue color. I want to add to the building. Change the opacity a little bit for it to blend a little bit better. So yeah, I think that's better. So it's a little bit further back, and I think we could add a slight. Could push it further back a little bit. But want it to be pushed too far, but I think this is better. Let's check the values again. So put on our value layer. Maybe it's a little bit too light, but it will get darker once we start in detailing again. So I think it's all right for now. I think it's better than it was. It sits a little bit further back. It doesn't really. It sort of felt like it was falling off the canvas. Let's check the progress so far. So this was the very rough thumbnail sketch, and we worked on it for 30 minutes now. I think that's quite a nice amount of progress for 30 minutes of painting. So yeah, we're gonna just continue doing what we did, add some detailing, and that's the beauty of these thumbnail sketches. It's sort of, you put down the design ID, general ID, and of course there's still some sort of designing to do, but the sort of the overall design ID is there. So I feel like I can just detail that out and make things up as I go, and yeah, it really works nicely, in my opinion. So I add a little bit more of those roofs. This is just the building style. Maybe we want some key buildings, like in cities you have things like churches, city halls, and stuff like that. Of course, we have those tree house thingies that are functioning as that as well, but we may want to add some more interesting elements as well to the city. So I think I want to keep adding more of this housing. I'm not sure if I want to do it on this side. I think I want to keep the city sort of centered around here. Otherwise, I think if you would put housing and stuff like that down here, our eyes would probably wander off canvas. So I want to keep these trees as sort of the border that force your eyes back into the painting. So yeah, we want to create sort of a flow from this building all the way to this light area above, and then we hit a dark area, and then we will go down the bottom, or like this way on the bridge, and then down into the city, and then back to the big building on the front. Sort of how we want to let the eye flow. I'm not sure if we're gonna make that happen, but that's sort of the idea here. And I think it's good to think about stuff like that, because it helps you deciding whether you want to put anything else somewhere. I'm gonna get rid of all this light. Not all at the same time, just as we sort of pass through it, we will get rid of it. And I really like this brush that I'm using, and I mainly use it for landscaping because it has a nice amount of texture to it, and I don't know, just really, it kind of really flows really well. How many times did I say really there? Way too much. But it flows nicely, and it adds a good amount of texture, and since this is probably made out of wood, you want some texture to it. If this were to be made out of metal or something like that, you probably don't want to use this brush. Although you kind of want to have texture to something anyway, because smooth, nice shiny smooth surfaces don't really tend to look that great in paintings. I don't know, you always want some sort of texture to it. That's why you see brushed ships, and even when things things like spaceships, you see all sorts of texture to it because it just looks cool. It doesn't necessarily make sense that it is there, because why would a spaceship rust? There's no water or moisture in space, so metals and things like that don't really have a chance to oxidize. But so if you think about it in a scientific way, it doesn't really make sense, but it looks cool. And why do we why paint things? Why do we make movies? Why do we create video games? Just because it's cool. So that's painting also. What I think painting is mainly about drawing things or painting things, make them look cool. You can do that in different ways, of course, but yeah, I think this one is starting to look rather cool as well. So far, it's mission accomplished. It looks a lot like the one we did I think 2 weeks ago, but yeah, that's not necessarily a problem, because I really like this sort of design language. These type of roofs, a sort of Japanese, Chinese, a sort of Eastern architecture style, combined with a sort of a Tolkien-esque, elfish kind of style. I don't know. Maybe it's my own style. Who knows? I just like it. I think I'm gonna switch to another brush, because for the smaller details, this brush doesn't really work that well. So we're gonna pick the other one again. I think this one works a little bit better when it's a bit smaller. So that's if you want to know more about brushes, I did a video on brushes. I probably could do a couple of more of them, but I used to struggle quite a bit with picking brushes and picking opacity settings and things like that. But just give it time and practice and see what you like, and then it will come eventually. I still could probably improve on picking the right brush. I don't know, whatever works, will be fine. We don't necessarily need everything to be perfectly straight. I don't think we want this to be perfectly straight, so let's let this slope up. We probably want to do that with other things as well. We kind of want to get a little bit interesting. Maybe add some with sort of layers as well. So this one has another layer. Then instead of perfectly straight, we get some curves to it. It's gonna be cool. I probably should take some sip of my coffee, because I made it before I started streaming, so that's 40 minutes ago, so it's almost cold. I probably want to drink that quickly. No, cold coffee is not that great. Unless it's a frappuccino. It's actually quite nice. So yeah, but just bouncing all around across the painting, and that's just the way I like to work. I can't really focus on one area for too long, and I think it's maybe we should make some interesting design. I don't know, some a little bit different than the usual. Yeah, we don't really need all those sort of bars to connect, but we could add some as a sort of decorative pieces of wood. Because, yeah, as I said before, we want things to look cool. Of course, they have to make some sense, but I'm thinking about maybe adding some sort of a gate. To the city, but I'm not sure how I'm going to go about that. As you can see, I've sort of neglected this middle bit for now, and I think it's time I start to work on that. That's, I don't know. Still quite not sure. I probably just have to put on the man pants and do something. We could make this sort of a big, something like this, sort of a really big gate. What would be the size of this thing compared to a human being? Let's say if for instance we could draw a human being here. So let's say this is the size of a person. Would that gate make sense? Yeah, why not? And then we could maybe I should have used a somewhat smaller brush for that. We can refine it, of course. Be around window and I don't know. We add some. Add multiple layers to it. I don't know. So it probably has to have some sort of a color, some nice highlights. Just figuring stuff out here. Maybe I should have done it in a different layer, so I could have experimented a little bit more freely. But on the other hand, we can easily change this if we don't really want to. It's not that we're painting over some carefully designed stuff that I already carefully designed, so. Want to let this roof sort of pull around. I don't know if I'm happy with that, but it sort of has to fit with the overall theme of the painting, and I'm not sure if it does. So but we can work on it for a little bit longer. I might change my brush to the to this one. Let's see, what's the opacity? 80%. That's actually good. You probably have to video. I don't know. Started speaking Dutch there. Probably some form a pathway to the entrance here and some stairs. And then we could actually make that sort of the actual gate a lot smaller. It could be alright. I think we can sort of adjust this. I'm not sure about this circle thingy. You know, clockwork. Is that clockwork from? No. That's a traditional clock. You have those clocks you put on your on the fireplace thingy. What's it called again? I don't know, sort of some looks like an old clock. I don't really want to do that. And this is all round, and the rest of it is the rest of the design of the building is not necessarily. We have some curves, and we probably want to add a couple of a bit more, but gonna keep messing with it, I think, for a little bit longer. Could of course just go like this, get rid of this, and then just make this the entrance, and add some roofing, and turn this into a general house thingy. It's probably the way to go. Probably want some curve there. Yeah, I think this is better. Although the problem is it's aligned with that, that, but could grab it and bring it forward a little bit by to grab it down there. That work. We're gonna let it stay for now, but I still like kind of like the idea of the sort of a really high gate or something, a really high structure above the gate maybe. So maybe we're gonna stack this, but I'm afraid it will end up looking like a Japanese castle. I don't know, the Hinchi Castle or something. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but we also wanted to give it sort of our own language, so it's not something that we necessarily want. I'm gonna try to sort of add some detail to this tree here. It's not the right color. Let's slightly lighter, but than this one, but darker than the actual tree, to blend them a little bit. And this is sort of a gateway to the other tree. Probably have to redo, but I want to keep the bridge there. I want them to sort of be connected. I'm not sure if I'm gonna add a bridge from, let's say, this one to that one. Could do it, but it would have to connect somewhere in the back, so something like this, something like that could work. But I don't want it to be too big. This one is too big. Probably want it to smaller. It's too wide, I should say. So we're gonna get rid of this one and get new one. Definitely want to sort of connect to. So I think it makes for a sort of a nice design thingy. Yeah, I think it's already better. Like that. Excuse me. I have a bit of a cold, so hopefully my voice will keep working for the entire video. Could be that it doesn't, or for the entire stream. I'm gonna drink the last of my coffee. I'm gonna check on the progress, and I think I'm also gonna flip the canvas because that will let us see if we to change something about the perspective. Let's check the values. As you can see, the values are sort of coming back a little bit more. It's a little bit darker because we ended up putting in some more detail, and it will end up getting even darker. So I think it's it's a good idea to sort of start your values slightly too light, sort of for the foreground elements, and it will come back once you start putting in the details. And so far we have done quite a lot of painting. This is how we started, and I'm actually really happy with the results so far. I think we so far we did a decent job, I think, in refining that thumbnail, and that way it really shows that no matter how sort of crappy the thumbnail is, it doesn't really matter as long as you put in some time and effort. If the idea is sort of decent, and you put in a bit of time and effort, and you have some nice colors, some nice ID, put some time and effort in it. 15 minutes to be exact, and you can end up with a really decent looking painting already. I'd say this, you could present this to someone and say, you know what, you like this ID, and people, even non RT people, so to speak, can see what's going on here, I think, and that's really good. So yeah, I quite like the progress so far. So we're gonna continue. I had something in my mind, and I thought I need to do that, but now I forgot. So it probably wasn't that important. Yeah, I need to go on a break somewhere around. Yeah, probably between now and 10 minutes, but it wasn't about the break. I think it was about something else, but I don't remember. Let's go on and continue to work on this. I think my brush is slightly too small. Text is too big. So yeah, now we can start in putting some more lighter stuff here. So we kind of want this to be the path. It's this sort of gate thingy, whatever it is. Yeah, it's probably the gate of at least this building. Maybe not the entire city, but it's a big building. And we still want to get rid of all those lights. And we're gonna put lights back on later. I would really love to have some nice light spots scattered across the painting. So a lot of lights down here. So in the forest, it's always kind of dark. So there's probably a lot of artificial lighting going on. Still not sure if I want to add a bridge between the two. So this time I'm gonna actually make a new layer. I'm gonna lock this one so I cannot accidentally paint on that one. I'm gonna try and see. I think I'm gonna grab the really flat brush, because if I do it like this, as you can see, it really gives the good idea of the bridge. So we want it to connect somewhere over there, and we probably want it to connect somewhere over there. So I think this could work. Maybe we want it. No, let's keep it there. And what if we were to move it slightly right, slightly? I think this is actually a really nice. I think it's a nice addition. It connects the buildings. Maybe we could add a little bit more of those between the different things. Maybe someone down there as well. So we don't necessarily want to have a lot of buildings, but what if we were to make a sort of a small platform here and have a bridge going down there? Of course we want it to be a lot less wide. I think we'd have to do it like that. That would actually work, I think. Yeah, it gives us some more interesting details to work with. I think I'm gonna keep them, both of them, both of the new additions. So let's see with the which is, yeah, I'm gonna keep them. So yeah, and of course we can do some detailing on those later. I'm probably not gonna finish the painting today, but I said that before. I said it at the start of the live stream. We're gonna make a sort of detail it a little bit further, and then I think on Friday, probably Wednesday or Friday, but it's probably gonna be Friday that we're gonna try and sort of finish it up. And I think I want to start doing more live streaming again. Videos are sort of nice, but I don't really finish paintings when doing videos because sometimes I have limited time or other stuff on my mind, and then I don't know, I get distracted and I cannot put enough time in to finish the painting, and I have to edit the video and things like that, render the video. That takes time. So the more time I have to spend on that, the less time I can actually paint. So in the end, I can finish less paintings that way, and I noticed that I don't really finish that much paintings. I sort of bring them up to sort of a presentable level, and then I stop, and I want to finish more paintings. I want to bring them to the sort of the next level, and of course a painting is never really finished. I think it can always find something to spend more time on, but I think it's sort of different stages of a finished painting or of a product. Usually I sort of I stop at this stage, and of course you can see what's going on, and it's looking quite nicely. But I want them to sort of go to the next stage, and I find that live streaming is probably a good way to do that. So if you could stream every week and sort of finish one painting every week, that would be lovely. And I could just pick the subject of that painting. I could just pick the thing that I want to finish and want to paint from the thumbnail sketches. So we're gonna use the videos for the thumbnails, and then we're can use the live streams for the actual finished paintings. So I think that would be a quite nice way to work. Yeah, because with the thumbnails, we get a ton of ideas coming in. We get six thumbnails each week, so that's 6 potential paintings that we can bring to a finished level. So we changed the this roof a little bit. It was straight. Now we added some curves to it. We don't really want to do it with each roof, but I think I want to bring in some slight variations here and there, so it's a little bit more haphazardly looking, all sort of within the same kind of style, but slightly different for each one of them. Thing that you normally see in a city, even with carefully planned. So we have in the Netherlands, then things have to be planned out and get rows of same housing, things like that. But still, architects also make sure that there is slight variations between them, and especially lately, that's sort of starting to become a more important theme. That's really different between countries, I think, the way building and architecture works. So yeah, what time is it? Oh, I've been streaming for an hour now. So I don't really want to, but I think I have to take a small break. But it's always a problem when you're sort of in a nice flow and sort of plan the break, but you don't really want to because you don't want to break the flow. I don't know. Sure what I should do. I could try to just paint 1.5 to 2 hours straight. Now I'm feeling fine, so probably could just do it. And it's easier to take a break when you're sort of stuck on something. Maybe I'm gonna wait until I'm stuck and then take a break. And when you come back, you sort of refresh your mind. Saving the painting quite a lot. A little bit less. I tend to sort of, after every few brush strokes, I sort of created a habit of pressing Ctrl S. I don't think it's a wrong habit because losing, if you wouldn't do that, losing sort of 10 minutes of work is it's not that big of a deal, but I don't know, it can be quite demotivating. But I think I'm pressing it a little bit too much now. Not that it really matters because the save time is really quick. As you can see, it's like 2 seconds. That's also, that makes it easier to sort of press that button more often. If you have to wait like 10, 20 seconds for a file to save, then I think you're less inclined to press that button. So make sort of, yeah. A thingy as well. Separate routing. Still not sure how I'm gonna do this with the gate. I'm gonna probably add some random move things. Probably should have done that earlier because now things in the middle have a lot less details than the things the outside. I probably want to lower this. I want to be at 80% opacity. Probably something like this. Here. Let's just get the overall sort of shape down. Some here. One over there. And then in the end we start detailing those a little better. This to that. Light thingies. Probably want some. Only want it like that. I think I want to do it like this. Wow, that was the most careful brush stroke I've done in quite some time. As you can see, I'm quite rough with my brush strokes. I like to keep things quite quick and rough. But sometimes you have to take the time to actually down a deliberate brush stroke. I usually don't take that time. You've probably seen throughout this live stream. And that's not necessarily a problem because sometimes those rough brush strokes give you extra detail. And it's sort of also developing into my style. and I think it's good to have your own style. Being really rough with my brush, that sort of creates that style. Can exaggerate this one a little. That's probably too much. This is okay. Probably want to hang some banners on that as well. I did that with the one of the last paintings I did as well, and I don't know, it just looks nice. I'm gonna keep that person there, whatever it is. Probably want to work on this. Maybe try to add some vegetation. I'm not sure what this is. Is this a red element or not? Probably not. So we're gonna push this one a little bit. Oh, we could pass it to. It's okay. I'm gonna push this a little bit back because we want to keep this roof, but we don't want it to sit at the same distance as the foreground objects. I'm gonna grab a brush, the soft one, and this is really a good way to push things back. Just select them with the lasso tool, grab a brush, and slightly brush them background. It's a really good way to add depth. I think I did a video on that way back. It's, I don't know, one of the first videos I think I did was how to create depth in your painting with atmospheric perspective. I think that especially for paintings like this, I think it's a really powerful tool and a really nice tool because it sort of adds mystery to a painting. When you're looking outside, it's atmospheric perspective of or atmospheric depth is not necessarily a thing always. It's only really on misty days and when there's a lot of moisture in the air, and then but that's usually the most beautiful days, or especially for photography and things like that. Really spectacular photographs are with atmospheric perspective. But it's not a thing that you see every day in life outside. But I still like to use it in paintings because it, as I said before, it makes things look cool, and it's sort of the main objective of paintings is make cool stuff. So although it's not necessarily always realistic, it's cool, and we tend to prefer cool over realism. I mean, that's why we like fantasy. Well, I don't know if most people like fantasy, but a lot of people like fantasy. I like fantasy. And yes, of course, there are no dragons in real life, but who cares? Dragons are cool. And that's what this is all about as well. These buildings don't exist in real life, but I don't care. I like them. I think they're cool. Awesome. So still not gonna take that break because I'm feeling fine and a lot of fun. So why should I? I think this is it's all coming together quite nicely. The longer I work on it, and I think in the end we want to keep this sort of still fairly rough because it sort of fits the theme. I think it fits the forest and stuff like that. So that's cool. We can keep that quite rough. 80% opacity. We don't necessarily want too much straight lines. Yeah, we probably want to have this a little bit as well. Maybe these are sort of kind of root sort of almost like roots that are growing outwards of the tree above the ground. Kind of cool. Because we still want, in the end, we still want the viewer. Not sure if we're gonna pull that off with this one, but definitely, hopefully, with this one and this one. So that will give the suggestion that the same goes for this one. We want the viewer of this painting to give the idea that this is a tree. So we have to sort of add little clues to the painting that this is actually a tree. But if you were to look at this one alone, you'd probably not necessarily see it. But that's when where the other two come in. If this is obvious that this is a tree, and this one is a tree as well, you can see my brush, can you? But this one and this one, those two are trees. It's sort of, for your brain, it instantly makes sense that this one is a tree as well. So that's a really cool concept that you can sort of in your paintings. Our brain works in mysterious ways. Probably a little bit too dark, but no matter, we can lighten it up. And we don't really want to spend too much time on these two. Or on this one, we can want to spend a little bit more time on this one, but the further we are to the background, the less time we're gonna spend on the details, because our focus is really on this one on the front and this one. So we want to put in enough detail that you can see them. See, oh, it's sort of the same thing, but further away, and a slightly different variation of the same thing. But and we wanted to help people see that it's actually trees we're seeing. And I'm slightly changing the curves on these things. Instead of straight lines, we want to be sort of curved in some places. Kind of want to make the designs interesting to look at. Maybe this roof is slightly different than the rest. So I'm going to say this. What's the back of it? Yeah, we can get rid of these light spots. There will remain some bits of it, as you can see here. Here, there's still some of it left. That's not really a problem, because that helps us create more detail and depth painting. I think I need to zoom in for this a little bit. I like to work zoomed out, but sometimes you just have to zoom in. And here I am again mixing those colors to sort of get the right color that I want. I think this one is, yeah, this one is fine. The right color and make it blend with the colors that I already have over there. So and now we're switching back to this one. Not sure if I want to keep this one straight. Maybe we're gonna do a slight curve, so it goes down here, and then maybe it can sort of go up here. I think that would be kind of cool. Would have to delete this and get the pillars a little bit higher. Just to make it look a little bit more interesting. Make this a little bit lighter. Want to blend some nice new color here to help us achieve that look. Just to stand out. There we go. Bit of that light bit, and we can make this a slightly lighter in the background. We'll probably want to add some more detail to it. Maybe this is curved, but you still have some straight thing, or maybe it is curved down. I don't know. This could be. I don't know. I think it looks too modern. Because you want the floors to sort of be straight anyway, so something you should keep in mind. You can curve the roofs, but so this one is should be straight because there's a floor. Well, I decided that there is a floor. Have to be, but I just said that there is a floor. There is a floor. Thing about being a painter, get to decide those things. A little bit lighter. Let's see how far we've come. You can see there's almost more paint than there is background. So to recall, this is how we started today. So that's 1 hour and almost 20 minutes ago, and this is how we are now. So I think we made some decent progress so far. I'm gonna take a short break now, and after the break I think we're gonna continue for another half an hour. I'm still not sure if I like this curve. Maybe I liked it better when it was straight, but or maybe I should divide it in two, but that would make it the same as up here. I don't know. I don't really know if it fits. I think we want some of them curved, but we also want some of them straight. So maybe I'll straighten that back again, but we'll see. For now, I'm gonna take a break, so I'm gonna put on the break thingy, and so way at the top so people can actually see what we're working on. Put on a timer, and I'm gonna take a 5-minute break. So I'm gonna be back in 5 minutes. So we are back. Let's see, we can put off the break. And I made me some fresh coffee. So hopefully I will remember to drink it. I'm gonna be painting for another half an hour and then we're gonna call it a day. Yeah, I think we're doing quite nice. So, remind myself, this is where I came from. Really rough sketch. Well, I think a decent ID. Rough sketch, but decent ID. And yeah, if you work on a rough sketch with a decent idea, you can get a quite nice painting. So that's what we've got so far. I'm still not sure if I'm happy with the curve here. I'm sort of, maybe this helps. I don't know. Because I think it's because this is straight. Maybe if I were to make this slightly curved, it would matter. But I think I'm gonna at least add sort of a straight like this, sort of a floor thingy, and maybe add some more detail, and that will hopefully help. Where is brush? Some dark colors. Something like this. Do we need more? No. Something like this. Detail. Oh. Could be nice. Let's keep it for now. Yeah, so what do I want to do? Yeah, just keep going. That's a problem. I had to take a break. I took a break, but when you take a break, it's sort of I have to get back into the painting. At least I do. But it can be a problem. It isn't necessarily a problem. Just gonna work on some rough things. Maybe do some more detailing, and otherwise we're just gonna sort of spend the rest, the 30 minutes, the next 30 minutes just refining this landscape here. Take 30 minutes. I already know, so yeah, we probably went to some layers to that. Actually quite cool. So this is sort of the tree roots. Can do some more fillery stuff. So just sort of make it the same as the rest of those. Bit of that light spot there. Don't want to keep those. We're gonna bring light back painting later on, but I think that's not gonna happen today. That's gonna happen Friday or Wednesday, probably Friday. So on Friday we're gonna continue with this one and hopefully finish it. It's already at a decent state, so I think we can finish it. We could sort of try to thingy going on here. I don't know. This as well. Some. There's sort of a bush in the foreground. It's just to break things up a little. Maybe we will get rid of it later, but for now it can stay for now. foreground. Okay. It's that lighter color there. Opacity. Excellent. Some darker colors as well. Blend them all a little bit better together. And I want this to be some sort of steps, some sort of stair. Let's do 8%. I want to for the size of the brush for that. Just some stairs going up there. We want this highlight to be at other places as well. Maybe not as bright. This color. Yeah, we can get some highlights in different places. So that it's supposed to sit there. Righty, yeah, I think that works. Taking a sip of the coffee. The last, I think the last 20 minutes here are gonna be a little bit more relaxed. Maybe a little bit more thinky than the first hour and a half. Because we have the rough things in place now, and probably everything is in place. Now I remember what I was supposed to do like an hour ago or something. I wanted to flip the canvas and I forgot. So as you can see, it's sort of, this building leans kind of back to the right. If you flip it, you don't really see it because our eyes are sort of used to seeing it this way, and if you flip it, you look at the same image but with fresh eyes, and that helps you see potential mistakes. Lock that there to do something about it. We could probably just do it like this. That will make this a little bit more like the Tower of Pisa. This will straighten up a bit. This is not necessarily a problem. It's a little bit straighter this way. It's more the top that is the problem, than the bottom really. So what if we were to do it like this? Problem is, then this one is getting even more skewed. Let's flip it back and see if it is a problem. Doesn't really look like it. Of course, we can always sort of push this back a little bit as well. Again, like this. Problem is, aren't we ending up with sort of exactly the same image as we had before? Not really. It's all sort of on the same. There's not much variation in the width here, so that's also a thing. It really slopes down. This is all on the same slope, but that isn't necessarily a good thing. This is better, but because we have this one, this side looks off. We could easily change that by making this longer or making this one shorter a little bit. I think that will help a lot. I could also make this one a little bit shorter. But as I said before, I don't really want it to be a sort of a pine tree or a Christmas tree shape. I think this one is a little bit better in that sense, that the variation is a little bit better. But there's a whole tree above this as well, with actually more things on the side. So we're gonna keep it for now. I think it's fine. This is how it was before. Yeah, this is definitely better. This is definitely better. Yeah, this is a lot better. It still isn't not perfectly. We probably should change this as well, because this is all aligned perfectly under each other, and that way you can really see that it feels like it's skewed to the right still a little bit. If you were to vary this up a little bit more, for instance, place this one a little bit to the left, this one to the right, or the other way around, a little bit shifting in terms of the difference in height between between each one, and maybe add some here, some there. We gotta vary it up a little bit more, and then I think we will be fine. So let's lock this again, and let's come back to this layer. And I think the first thing we need to do is get rid of this. Maybe we can add some one here. Gonna be really rough here. I'm not gonna use lines or anything. Just gonna, and then this one down there. I think this one is okay for now. I think here we can, and maybe we can like this. And we had one here, and we're gonna have one here. So maybe get a little darker. That's probably too much, but we can fix that later. It's more that we sort of have the roofs and things in place. Maybe change up the slope of them a little bit. Some of them more sloped than others. Then here. Probably one there, and this later. I think this already helps. Probably should have done that way earlier. But yeah, sometimes you just don't really have the confidence to do it. I think I just I think it was a good choice. Yeah. Yeah. Quite happy with that. Let's flip it again and see how it looks when we flip it. Probably should. Is there a shortcut? Yeah. Still looks slightly sloped towards the right, but it's also because not only do we have a sort of a slope here, expect sort of, if this is the base, if this tree is upright, expect it to go like this, but it goes like that. Well, that's a bit exaggerated, but it's like this. And that's actually initially how I painted the tree, so we either have to go with it or we have to fix it, but I don't know. I think maybe if we were to add something in the background here, we'll counterbalance it, so to speak. But mostly, I'm quite happy with the results so far. So yeah, let's quickly do some more, just some rough scribbling before we call it a day. Got like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, I think. Matter. Go on as long as I wanted to, but stuff to do as well. Still have to okay, thumbnail sketch for today. So what I'm gonna do after. Would stream it live, but do it because I don't know. It's usually you keep your thumbnail sketches for yourself, but the point of this channel is sort of to show the journey to become a better artist. Not just I'm not that great yet. I hope I will be a great artist one day, but to sort of show you guys the journey to become at least a better artist, and that's why I show the thumbnail sketches video, because you can see that even with when it looks really crappy, you can still make a fairly decent painting out of it. And I think it's a really cool thing that we're gonna do these live streams each week now, that we're gonna finish one painting each week, so you can actually see that the thumbnail sketches have a use, and it's not just a sort of a scribbling to show off. Look at what I made. It looks awful, but I made it nonetheless. No, it has a purpose. It's about sort of triggering your mind into the triggering. I don't know. It's about sort of getting your mind going in the right direction. Is that I don't know how to. It's about getting the ideas in your mind, and you can pull the ideas from your mind, and the more you find those sort of sketches, the more ideas you have sort of stored in your mind, the more you can pull up. And of course, we will, because we're gonna refine one of them each week into a painting. We're not only generating ideas for our mind, we're also generating ideas to actually paint from. So that way they serve a double purpose. So you guys will be able to see use of the sketches. And hopefully we will get better at the sketching as well, because I'd like to make them a little bit better. I've done many times before on this stream. This was a sketch, and I think if I don't know, if you sort of have a good workflow, I think it took like 15 minutes to make this one. I think in 15 minutes you can make it slightly better. Maybe if you spend 5 minutes more, and you work really sort of, if you in the end have a sort of a really efficient way of making these, I think in 15 to 20 minutes you can make better sketches than this one. So that's the goal, sort of to be able to generate those ideas, but also to be faster and better at generating those ideas, and sort of getting a better start when you start painting. Of course, in the end, the painting is still looking quite nice so far. So the sketch served its purpose perfectly. But if you can sketch a little bit more efficiently, you can also save time in painting. I mean, the more time you save, the more you can actually make paintings you can make in the end. But yeah, I think it's a really cool way to show you the viewers use of those thumbnail sketches of the thumbnail. So it's not just to produce content. It has a bigger purpose sort of than just a video. But by posting it, it allows, hopefully it will serve as sort of inspiration to do the same, and allows you to see sort of the process from start to finish, from thumbnail sketch to finished painting. Just adding a little bit more detail. Probably want slightly darker. Don't want it to be too dark. But yeah, it's coming together quite nicely. Quite happy by it. Ooh, there goes my phone. Someone is ringing me. So normally I might stream for another 5 or 10 minutes, but I kind of have to pick this one up. So I'm gonna end the stream here. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna continue this later this week, probably Friday, maybe Wednesday, but at least on Friday, and hopefully we can bring it to a finished state on Friday. Thank you for watching, and if you like this, make sure to like it, and if you want to see more, subscribe to the channel. Bye!